Hello and welcome to episode 7 of Around the World in a TBM 930 here on the Airborne Lawyer YouTube channel. Today you find us in the Big Apple, New York, New York. Here we are in Lower Manhattan right now, right alongside One World Trade Center, in the financial heart of this great metropolis. Looking over here to Brooklyn Bridge and Manhattan Bridge. And perhaps it's worth us thinking for a moment about how New York has looked in previous iterations of Flight Simulator. Back when Flight Simulator looked like this and sounded like this is what New York and Lower Manhattan looked like. This is the 1989 version of Flight Sim. It's the first Flight Sim I had on a 386 PC when I was about 10 years old. Well, now of course it looks like this. There's the Empire State Building coming up here on the Central Park. It's just stunning. And it illustrates perfectly why we are doing this round the world tour in the TBM 930. We want to see all of these great sights and enjoy it to the full. We're descending now into Times Square. There's a few misplaced trees perhaps, and a few kind of lumpy bits of something or other on the ground here, but in comparison to that snippet of FS4 from 1989, this looks incredibly realistic. The detail is just breathtaking. It's kind of mid to late afternoon here in New York right now, in early February, so there's still plenty of snow on the ground. And today we are going to be flying down to Washington DC. We're going to be flying to the National Airport right in the middle of downtown Washington. And then tomorrow we're going to fly on further south down to Florida. We're flying to Kissimmee, and we're going to be taking a look at Walt Disney World. But just really great to see these sights of Manhattan before we head off. So let's get our clearance. New York approach, Golf Tango Echo Whiskey Alpha is a TBM 930 on the ground at Teterboro with information India, requesting clearance to Kilo Delta Charlie Alpha.
Golf Tango Echo Whiskey Alpha, New York departure, cleared to the National Airport, Teterboro 3 departure, radar vector is Big E, then as filed. Maintain 2000, expect 16,000 1 2 minutes after departure. Departure frequency with me, squawk 1063.
Cleared to the National Airport, Teterboro 3 departure, radar vectors then to Biggie and then as filed. Climbing to 2000 and expecting 16,000 10 minutes after departure, squawking 1063, Golf Tango Echo Whiskey Alpha.
Golf Tango Echo Whiskey Alpha, reback is correct, expect only 1 for departure information, India's current call for taxi.
Runway 1, India we have, and we'll call you for taxi, Golf Tango Echo Whiskey Alpha. Okay, so we'll just do our final checks here, and then we will taxi out to runway 1. New York approach, Golf Tango Echo Whiskey Alpha, request taxi.
Golf Tango Echo Whiskey Alpha, runway 1, taxi via Kilo Lima.
Kilo Lima to runway 1, Golf Tango Echo Whiskey Alpha. So just whilst we're taxiing, you may have heard there that we've been assigned the Teterboro 3 departure on our route out today. So I've checked the chart. Teterboro 3 off runway 1 requires us to turn immediately to 040 degrees after we've taken off, and then to continue on that heading until we're 2.3 nautical miles from the Teterboro VOR. So I've tuned in the Teterboro VOR on the radios here, and once we get to that point, once we're 2.3 miles from the VOR, we then need to turn left to 280 degrees and await further instructions. You'll have heard the controller there tell us that we will be expecting vectors at that point to a waypoint called Biggie. It's only a short flight down to Washington DC this evening, but we are going to be time-lapsing the flight as usual, and then we'll slow it up again once we're getting close to Washington. Just doing a few pre-takeoff checks here. Clearly going to need our de-icers on, so I'll switch those all on, ready to climb through these clouds. But I think once we get above this it should be much clearer, and we should get something of the sunset once we're above the clouds. And the weather's pretty calm down in Washington DC.
No departure allowed on 917, right now 3000 feet, heading 060.
Unit 917, near departure, radar contact, turn left heading 040, climb and maintain 5000.
040, climb and maintain 5000, United 917.
New York approach, Golf Tango Echo Whiskey Alpha, runway 1 at Teterboro, ready for departure.
Golf Tango Echo Whiskey Alpha, just confirm squawk 1063.
Sorry, we'll set that now, 1063. Golf Tango Echo Whiskey Alpha, we're squawking 1063 now.
Unit 917, turn right heading 120, contact New York departure 120.4.
Yes, again heading for United 917.
It's a right turn 120, right 120, contact New York departure 120.4.
120, New York departure 120.4, United 917.
Golf Tango Echo Whiskey Alpha, roger, thanks for squawking that code. Just stand by here, I got an aircraft on the other side that doesn't know what they're doing.
Roger, we'll hold short, Golf Tango Echo Whiskey Alpha.
Yeah, he's off the departure end, so yeah, sorry about that.
No worries. Okay, so we've just got a bit of a delay. We've just been asked to hold short here for the moment. Yeah, so as I was saying about the weather, pretty gloomy right now in New York, and the clouds are fairly low, look to be pretty heavy and laden with snow, but once we get above those we should see something of the sunset, and we're expecting a fairly smooth approach into the National Airport down in Washington. Again, just making sure I've got all my radios tuned here, which I have, so that I can do this departure as required. Initial climb on a heading of 040 degrees after 2.3 miles from the Teterboro VOR. We then turn left to 280 and await further instruction. It'll be interesting to see what Washington DC looks like at night time. I haven't done much night flying yet on Microsoft Flight Sim 2020, but we will be doing the sightseeing bit of Washington tomorrow morning in daylight.
Golf Tango Echo Whiskey Alpha, fly the Teterboro 3 departure, wind calm, runway 1 clear for takeoff.
Via the Teterboro departure, runway 1 clear to takeoff. Golf Tango Echo Whiskey Alpha. Okay, here we go. Enjoy the ride. Next stop, Washington DC.
New York departure, good evening, FedEx 7564 Heavy climbing out 1600, New York for departure.
FedEx 7564 Heavy, New York departure, radar contact, turn left heading 27, correction, turn left heading 280, climb and maintain 10,000.
Left turn heading at 28.
Welcome back, and you find us on final approach into runway 33 at Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport. This is not the main international airport in Washington. The main international airport is Dulles, and that's located over 25 miles from the downtown area. But this airport is right across the Potomac River from downtown Washington, as we will see very shortly. So it's perfectly located to go into the city and do some sightseeing. So just a short flight this evening down from New York City to Washington DC, And I have to say, I thought the real highlight of the flight was that beautiful sunset, which we captured up at 16,000 feet just above the clouds. As the crow flies, it's a little over 200 miles from New York to Washington, so obviously no time at all in a plane as fast as the TBM 930. But we're going to break the trip down to Florida here overnight, and we'll do a quick bit of sightseeing in daylight tomorrow before continuing south to Kissimmee. Kissimmee is very close to Disney World, so if it sounds familiar, that may be why. There we go, touchdown. And talking sightseeing in Washington, just off to the right there, you might just catch a glimpse of the Washington Monument, which we'll be seeing closer up very, very shortly. Here on the Airborne Lawyer YouTube channel, we do like to give you lots of anecdotal facts as we go around seeing the world. And today's big fact is that the Washington Monument is the world's tallest predominantly stone structure, and the world's tallest obelisk, standing at 554 feet tall. That particular fact is unlikely to come in handy anytime soon, unless you happen to take part in a quiz about obelisks perhaps, but go ahead, surprise your friends with some empowering knowledge about the Washington Monument. So here we are, coming in to downtown Washington. First of all, to the White House, of course. That's the West Wing over on the left-hand side. That is where the Oval Office is. I am relying on Google Maps for that fact. I've never been in the Oval Office myself, of course. And the White House looks straight across to the Washington Monument. You'll see the Washington Monument has 50 flags around its base, representing each of the 50 states, although they all are the same flag. It's the flag of the United States, it's not the individual state flags. And then we head up towards the US Capitol. On the left-hand side, left and right in fact, we've got some of the Smithsonian museums and the National Gallery of Art, and then we've got the US Capitol, where Congress sits, so the Senate and the House of Representatives both sit within the US Capitol. Then at the other end, which you can just see in the distance there, and we'll go up and see again now, is the Lincoln Memorial. So there he is, sat in the middle of the memorial, and that then looks back across to the Washington Monument. Crossing back over the river, we come to the Pentagon, which sits right alongside Arlington National Cemetery. No prizes, of course, for guessing how the Pentagon gets its name. And the Pentagon is located right alongside the airport which we're flying out of in a few moments' time. It's all very, very close together in Washington, D.C. The White House and the Washington Monument and the Lincoln Memorial just over there. Here's the Pentagon again, just coming into view. Then we turn around, and bingo, there's the airport. So let's get cracking. I've got the plane set up. Let's line up and get underway to Florida. It's actually quite a long flight, this one. It's about 3 hours flight time down to Kissimmee this afternoon, but once again I will be time-lapsing the flight in just a few moments' time. We're going to be following the Potomac River very closely as we depart Washington. That's all programmed in on the Garmin here, and I'm going to stick the autopilot on quite quickly so that we can have a look out the window and see the sights again from the air as we leave. Then we'll slow it up again as we get down to Kissimmee. So enjoy the ride, and we'll speak again when we get to Florida. Welcome back once again, and this time you find us on final approach into runway 15 at Kissimmee Gateway Airport in the Sunshine State, Florida. Sadly, the sun isn't shining all that convincingly right now. It's a little bit overcast, but it's very mild. It's in the early 20s degrees centigrade, so a completely different feel to the place to where we started up in New York with all the snow. Unfortunately, there's a fair bit of haze around as well. You might have spotted that on approach. We were looking out to see if we might catch a glimpse of some of the local attractions in the Orlando area. We couldn't really see them, but be assured we are right on top of some of the world's most popular and frequented theme parks here in Kissimmee. They are literally just around the corner. Happy with that. That's one of my better landings. So, mentioning those theme parks, we're going to be going to see them in the next episode of Around the World in a TBM 930. I have quite a personal connection, as it happens, with Disney World in particular. I first visited Florida when I was 27 years old, and to be honest, I didn't think I was going to be all that into Disney World. I didn't think I'd really get into the whole thing. I just thought I might have grown out of it, perhaps. But in fact, and sorry if this makes it sound like I fell for the whole product, hook, line and sinker, but we ended up having a really magical day at the Magic Kingdom. That was back in 2009, and we went again the following year in 2010, and again in 2013. And my wife and I were actually going to take our 2 young children to Disney World last May in 2020, but of course the pandemic put pay to that. But we hope very much to visit Florida again, and if anybody watching this fancies, once all the pandemic restrictions are lifted, fancies a trip somewhere where the weather is pretty good almost all the time, and where you can kind of have an enormous amount of fun and, so to speak, divorce yourself from reality and working life and all that stuff for a few days and just have bucket loads of fun on roller coasters, I could not recommend Florida more highly. We've had 3 spectacular holidays in Florida. Lovely people, lovely food, lovely places to go, lovely weather, great beaches too. And we're going to be exploring that more in the next episode. As I say, we're going to be seeing the parks. We'll go to Disney World, we'll go and have a look at the Universal Resort as well. Then we're going to be taking off and heading east out to the Space Coast to Cape Canaveral to see where NASA hang out, to see Launchpad 39A, where man launched to the moon in 1969. Then we're going to head down the Atlantic coast of Florida, down to Palm Beach, down to Fort Lauderdale, down to Miami Beach, catch a few glimpses of downtown Miami as well. And we're going to finish our quick tour of Florida by cutting across to the Gulf Coast and landing in Naples. That's all for the next episode. We look forward to seeing you there. If you've enjoyed this video, please don't forget to click the subscribe button and you'll get an advanced notification of when the next video gets put up on YouTube. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time.
Oral warning, okay.